Hello students, welcome in social science class. Before this we have done fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Today we will do the directive principles of state policy. These are also mentioned in the constitution. And as I told you in the chapter 16 constitution, we adopted different features from different constitutions of the world and we opted the best one features. That's why Indian constitution is a unique constitution. So the idea of the directive principle of state policy, we have taken this idea from the Ireland. And what are these principles? These are the principle as the clear mention in the name, directive, which give directions. So these are the guidelines, directions or instructions given by the constitution to the government at all levels and are expected to frame their policies in accordance with these principles with an aim to achieve our national goals and establish a welfare state in इंडिया. मीन्स ये गाइडलाइंस हैं, इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की तरफ से दी गई हैं. किसको? गवर्नमेंट को, डिफरेंट लेवल्स पर, नेशनल लेवल, स्टेट लेवल और लोकल गवर्नमेंट के लिए, कि जब भी वो पॉलिसीज़ बनाते हैं कंट्री के लिए, लोगों के लिए, तो इन गाइडलाइंस को ध्यान में रखा जाए. एंड व्हाट इज़ द एम बिहाइंड दिस? To achieve our national goals and to establish a welfare state in India. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar considered these guidelines a powerful instruments for the transformation of India from a political democracy into an economic and social democracy. Political democracy when people all get equal rights, but for maintaining the economic and social democracy, these guidelines are the powerful instrument. So now classification of directive principles. Although the directive principles of state policy are in a large number and they have been grouped into 4 main categories. Classification of directive principles, they are classified into 4 categories, which are economic principles, social principles, Gandhian principles and principles related to international peace and security. Only 2 principles from each category are being given below to make understanding the nature of directive principles. So in your book, in your chapter, there are 2 principles in each category are mentioned that we have to know and learn. First of all, economic principle. When we talk about the economic, it related to the financial and money related matters, like to secure equal pay for equal work both men and women. What's the meaning of this? That all the people, regarding the discrimination on the basis of gender, men and women, they will get equal work, and when both are doing equal work, same work, they will get equal wages. It means equal wages for equal work. क्लियर? ऐसा नहीं कि मेल अगर वही काम करा और फीमेल दोनों सेम काम करें लेकिन दोनों को वेजेस अलग अलग मिलेंगे. सेम काम के लिए सेम उनको पे किया जाएगा, disregarding the discrimination on basis of gender. Second, to provide adequate means of the livelihood for all. So it's a duty of the government, at least all the person in a country should able to fulfill their basic needs. They are survived, they can arrange their livelihood. It's a responsibility or a duty of the government. While making the policy, they must keep in mind that all the person in a country, but they must be adequate means of, they have adequate means of livelihood. Next is social principle. To make efforts to raise the standard of living and public health. Means in society, if the people get the equal work and all people get work, it raises their per capita income, and with the per capita income they can increase their living standard and they can live without discrimination in the society. And they also government provide the public health facilities, so they all, without any discrimination, all people get health facilities also. Next, to guard children against exploitation and moral degradation. This we have also learned read in the fundamental right, that there must be not be any exploitation with the children, and if that happens, there must be a protection for that. Next is Gandhian principles. These directive principles are based on the ideology of Gandhiji, because Gandhiji always said that if we want to develop our country, we must focus on the rural development. So, what he said, to organize विलेज पंचायत का आइडिया जो था गांधी जी ने दिया था, कि अगर गांव के लोग वहाँ पर पंचायत जो होगी वो लोकल पीपल्स की प्रॉब्लम्स को इजीली समझ भी सकते हैं और उनके बेटर सोल्यूशन भी दे सकते हैं. सो ही गेव द आइडिया ऑफ विलेज पंचायत. Next is to promote cottage industry. Cottage industry means small, very basic unit of the industry. If the cottage industry develop in a rural area, it led to the economic development of the rural, and with that it ultimately led to the development of the nation. So last category is principles related to international peace and security. To maintain just and honorable relations between the nations. After the independence, our countries always prefer that we will make the friendly relation with our neighboring country and other people, other countries, and always India always promote for the international peace and security. When there will be need in a country, we always ready to maintain the peace and the security. We will not never promote the war in our future. Always try to promote peace in a world. So these are the categories of the directive principles: economic principle, social principles, Gandhian, and last one is principles related to international peace and security. Now next topic is significance of directive principles of state policy. What is the importance? Significance means importance क्या है इनकी. Now the principles, these principles of state policies are not justiciable. Student, here you can ask a question. What are the difference between the fundamental rights and directive principles? Clear? Yes, listen. Fundamental rights and directive principles both are given by the constitution, but fundamental rights are given by constitution to the citizen, and directive principles are the guidelines or instruction given by the constitution to the government. Second, if the person, any person does not get his right, or anybody violates his right, his or her rights, then that person can go to the court for seek justice. But in case of directive principles, if the government is not following these guidelines, because these are the just instructions or guidelines, it's a moral duty of the government to follow these principles. But if they don't follow, then we don't have the right to claim to go in the court and to seek justice. That's why it is said that non-justiciable. Yet these are the moral obligations on the part of the government at all level to work for the welfare of the people. So many directive principles have been implemented that have become either legislation or fundamental rights. In our country, there are lots of examples when our government implement these directive principles for the welfare of the country. You have a question in the textual also. First one is right to education has become a fundamental right. Like as we said in the social directive principles, that to protect the children exploitation and the moral उनके development है. That's why our government given children a right to education, and it become a fundamental rights, means which cannot be violated by any person. सभी बच्चों को राइट टू एजुकेशन मिलना चाहिए, तो इसीलिए इसे बाद में ऐड किया गया एक लॉ के अकॉर्डिंगली पास करके, और इसे फंडामेंटल राइट बनाकर इसे राइट टू फ्रीडम में ऐड किया गया इन 2002. Second, Environment Protection Act and Wildlife Protection Act have been passed to protect the environment, because if our environment is protected, then we are also protected. Okay, wildlife protection, to protect the wildlife, they are the nature beauty of our country. So it's the duty of government to protect these forest and wildlife. So they passed an act, Environment Protection Act and Wildlife Protection Act. Next is National Commission for the Welfare of Women has been established. There is a commission established at the national level for the welfare of women. If women feel any exploitation and injustice in a society, then they can directly go to that commission and they can seek help from that. Next is right to work has been implemented for rural unemployed under the Manrega. Manrega means Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Earlier it was known as Narega, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which was passed in 2005, September 2005. Under this, as the in the economic principle, our constitution lay down that every person without the discrimination, they have the right to work. They must be adequate the minimum livelihood, and all person have the right to work. And those people, particularly in rural area, they want to do work but they don't have work. जो काम करना चाहते हैं बट उनके पास कोई काम नहीं है जिससे कि वो अपनी लाइवलीहुड, अपनी रोज़ी रोटी कमा सकें, तो वहाँ तब गवर्नमेंट ने एक एक्ट पास किया था। पहले इसका नाम नरेगा था और बाद में इसे और इसके अंदर कुछ और जो इम्प्लीमेंट करके इसका नेम हो गया महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट। इसके अंदर क्या है कि सभी वो गांव के अंदर, चाहे वो मेल हैं या फीमेल हैं, जो काम करना चाहते हैं, गवर्नमेंट उनको मिनिमम 100 डेज़ का जो अश्योर्ड वर्क प्रोवाइड करेगी। गवर्नमेंट विल प्रोवाइड 100 डेज अश्योर्ड वर्क। दोज पीपल हु आर रजिस्टर्ड विद दिस एक्ट, दे विल गेट वर्क for the 100 days, and if they are not able to get work within the 15 days, then government will provide इक्वल अलाउंसेस ऑफ द ऑन डेली बेसिस, कि अगर गवर्नमेंट उन्हें काम नहीं प्रोवाइड कर सकती तो उन्हें डेली का अलाउंसेस मीन्स उन्हें कैश पेमेंट जो भत्ता दिया जाएगा ताकि वो अपनी रोज़ी रोटी चला सकें। सो इस अर्लियर इट वाज गिवन हेल्प इन द 200 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स, बट लेटर ऑन इट मोर देन 600 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स, एंड पीपल आर गेटिंग बेनिफिट एंड दे गेटिंग द वर्क, and with the work they get in the wages, and with the wages they can fulfill their needs. So student, these two are the logos of the, this is the right to education, first one, and second is Manrega. You should must make in these we can say the poster in your notebook. Our next topic is very important, that is secularism. Secularism. In the 16th chapter, you have already learned India is a democratic republic, secular, sovereign, socialist country. So, what is the meaning of secularism? And the word secular added in the preamble in 1976 under 42nd Amendment. What is the meaning of secularism? First of all, every citizen is free to adopt any religion without any discrimination. That is called secularism. Means there is not any state religion. According to the constitution, Indian secularism has two aspects. यहाँ पर आप extra questions बना सकते हैं. What is secularism? And mention the two aspects of Indian secularism. What is secularism? It means that all the people are free to adopt any religion with their own choice, and there is no any state religion. And first aspect is same, every citizen of India is free to believe in and practice any religion of his own choice. It also implies that every religious group has freedom to manage its own affair. Every religious group has a power, they can manage their own religious affairs. Second aspect क्या है? That state will not discriminate against any group or individual on the basis of religion. It means our constitution observes strict impartially towards all religions and does not propagate any religion. Means our government never do the partiality between the religion. They always give respect and have tolerance toward the all religious religions, and they will not promote or protect any particular religion. So, this impartial attitude of being secular has been guaranteed in several ways in various places in the constitution. Here is one another question, extra question, that how uh, our constitution has an impartial attitude of being secular. Prove this. आप बताइए कि कैसे इंडिया के अंदर या हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का अंदर सेकुलरिज्म के प्रति इम्पार्शियल एटीट्यूड है. प्रूव करिए इसे. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल प्रूव, हम अब प्रूव कर रहे हैं. नंबर वन, प्रेम्बल इटसेल्फ हैज़ अश्योर्ड लिबर्टी ऑफ बिलीफ, फेथ एंड वर्शिप. प्रेम्बल में क्लियरली मेंशन है कि हमें लिबर्टी मीन्स फ्रीडम, हमें फ्रीडम है किसी भी रिलीजन में विश्वास रखने की, उसे मानने की और उसकी पूजा करने की. Similarly, the provision that establish secularism also mentioned in the fundamental rights. You already know that equality before law, कानून की नज़र में सभी बराबर हैं. ये नहीं कि हिंदू के साथ अलग ट्रीटमेंट होगा, मुस्लिम के साथ अलग होगा, सिख के साथ अलग होगा. ऑल आर इक्वल बिफोर द लॉ. और इसी तरह जॉब में भी है. ये नहीं है कि मुस्लिम को जॉब मिलेगी, सिख को नहीं मिलेगी या हिंदू को नहीं मिलेगी. ऑल गेट इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी टू सिक्योर अ जॉब विदाउट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन ऑन द ग्राउंड ऑफ रिलीजन. एंड देयर वन मोर रिलीजन राइट, freedom of religion and worship are the ample guarantees of secularism. So beside this right to freedom of religion, a lawful freedom to all the citizens as well as the aliens in the religious matter, they can worship the way they like but without interfering with the religious beliefs and the ways of the worship of others. It means we all have the right to follow any religion, and there we have the duty that let the other people do enjoy the religion. ऐसा नहीं कि आप अपने धर्म को तो मान रहे हैं, अपने धर्म को सुपीरियर मान रहे हैं और दूसरे धर्म के साथ आप उनकी डिसरिस्पेक्ट करो. ये गलत है. आप अपना रिलीजन मान सकते हैं और दूसरों को अपने रिलीजन को फॉलो करने का पूरा अधिकार है. लेकिन एक बात वहाँ याद रखनी बच्चे ज़रूरी है कि जब हम अपने रिलीजन को फॉलो करते हैं तो वहाँ पर सोशल ऑर्डर को मेंटेन रखना ज़रूरी है. नाउ व्हाट इज़ द इम्पॉर्टेंस और सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ द सेकुलरिज्म? In the concept secularism is based on equal treatment to all the religion. It's not merely desirable but essential for the healthy existence of a plural society. Plural society means like India, where the multi-religious people living. So how they can live together when they all give equally respect? There will be no given promotion or protection to any particular religion. जब सभी रिलीजन को इक्वली अपने अपने धर्म को मानने का अधिकार होगा, वो इक्वली हार्मनी के साथ, प्यार के साथ रह सकते हैं, तब वहाँ पर जो है सेकुलरिज्म बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट बन जाता है. सो इंडियन सेकुलरिज्म इज़ रिलेटेड टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज़ ऑफ लिबर्टी, इक्वलिटी, justice and fraternity. Secularism is important for India. Here is one more question. Why secularism is important for India? Give reasons. Number one, it enables people of different religion to live in harmony with other faiths. क्योंकि इंडिया के अंदर डिफरेंट रिलीजन फॉलो किए जाते हैं, एक नहीं मल्टी रिलीजियस ग्रुप्स हैं, तो उन सभी को राइट है कि वो अपने रिलीजन को मान सकते हैं और दूसरों को भी मानते, उनको भी रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं. इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी विच ग्रांट्स इक्वल राइट्स. थर्ड, इट प्रोटेक्ट द राइट्स गिवन टू द माइनॉरिटीज़. There is also special right for the minority, cultural and educational right. Means people belonging to any religion or any culture or any community, that those who have less number in population, they have also equal right to enjoy their culture and to enjoy their to follow any religion, and they can promote their own religion and language. Last one, it safeguard the democracy by limiting the power of the majority. It means if any religious group have the majority, large number in a society, it doesn't mean that they will dominate over the others and they will force the other people to follow their religion. No, all people have equal rights to enjoy their own religion. So, do you know? I have already told you that when did the word secular add to the or introduced in the preamble, and what is the aim behind that? The word secular was introduced in the preamble in 1976 by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, and the purpose behind adding this word was mainly to reiterate the secularism was a part of basic ideology. Means now secularism is a part of the basic ideology. Nobody can change it. We have the provision in the constitution to amend the constitution, to modify or change, but it doesn't mean that any person or any organ or any government, they can change the basic ideology. ये नहीं कि कोई अब आके कहेगा कि अब इंडिया में सिर्फ एक ही रिलीजन फॉलो होगा या डेमोक्रेसी की जगह डिक्टेटरशिप. नो, nobody can change now the basic ideology. So secularism also included in the basic ideology. The inclusion simply emphasizes that India does not have any state religion. Clear? Now the next topic and the question, Indian secularism. Here you can also ask a question, how Indian secularism practice, कि इंडिया में सेकुलरिज्म कैसे प्रैक्टाइज किया जाता है, कैसे गवर्नमेंट डिफरेंट रिलीजन के साथ डील करते हैं. इंडियन सेकुलरिज्म इज़ अ फ्लेक्सिबल मीन्स कि हम में आज़ादी है, हम अपने रिलीजन को मान सकते हैं, लेकिन कई बार गवर्नमेंट जो है लोगों के रिलीजन की रिस्पेक्ट करने के लिए कुछ कई बार कहीं जगह लीनियंट हो जाती है और कहीं जगह अगर उन्हें ज़रूरत लगे तो वो स्ट्रिक्ट भी हो जाते हैं. दे सी व्हाट इज़ गुड फॉर द सोसाइटी. हमें अपना धर्म मानने का राइट है, बट ये नहीं कि हम सोशल ऑर्डर को जो है डिसओबे करके हम अपना रिलीजन को मानें. तो इंडिया का सेकुलरिज्म, क्योंकि इंडिया का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही यूनिक है तो उसकी पॉलिसी भी यूनिक है. So many a times the government does not strictly follow the policy of non-interference with the religious matter and practices. To respect the sentiment of all religion, the government sometimes makes certain exceptions for a particular community. ये आपका टेक्सचुअल में भी क्वेश्चन है कि गवर्नमेंट कई बार कुछ रिलीजियस जो कम्युनिटी हैं उनके साथ थोड़ी कई बार लीनियंट भी हो जाती है. किस लिए? टू गिव द रिस्पेक्ट टू द रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द वेयरिंग एंड कैरिंग ऑफ किरपान इज इंक्लूडेड in the Sikh religion, so they are allowed to keep a kirpan with them as a religious symbol. हमने राइट टू फ्रीडम में पढ़ा था that we have the right to assemble without arms, हथियारों के बिना. तो यहाँ पर हम कह रहे हैं कि सिख रिलीजन के अंदर वो किरपान पहनते हैं. तो किरपान पहनना ये नहीं कि वो किसी को मारने के लिए पहन रहे हैं. It is a religious symbol. That's why government allow them to wear that kirpan. Same, they wear a pagdi. It is also religious symbol in Sikh religion. So they are allowed to wear pagdi in the school or other institution. No institution or school force any Sikh student or a person that you will not come with the pagdi. They are allowed to wear the pagdi. And in the traffic rules also must wear the helmet, but the people of Sikh religion, they are exempted for wearing the helmet, क्योंकि पगड़ी उनके सिर पे होते हैं तो हेलमेट पहनने में मुश्किल होता है, तो इसलिए उन्हें वहाँ पर एग्जम्प्ट किया जाता है. So intervention of the state in the religious and social practice of particular religion may be aimed at eradicating certain social evils. सिख रिलीजन में वो इंटरफेयर नहीं कर रहे कि उन्हें रिलीजियस सिंबल्स को अडॉप्ट करने दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनके वो रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट्स की जो रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं। बट लेकिन अगर किसी रिलीजन के अंदर कुछ ऐसे प्रैक्टाइज किया जा रहा है जो कि सोशल एविल्स कहलाता है, और वहाँ पर वो किसी को हर्ट कर रहे हैं रिलीजन के नाम पर, तो वहाँ गवर्नमेंट स्ट्रिक्टली उसके अंदर इंटरफेरेंस भी करती है ताकि सोशल ऑर्डर मेंटेन रहे और किसी के साथ इनजस्टिस ना हो। by aimed be aimed at eradicating certain social evils which are a stigma in the name of the present civilized society. For example, practice of untouchability by the so-called upper caste toward the low caste has been abolished. कि कुछ लोग जो अपर कास्ट लोग थे लोअर कास्ट को अनटचेबल कहकर धर्म के नाम पर उन्हें इंसल्ट करते हर्ट करते हैं, तो ये गलत है। तब वहाँ गवर्नमेंट इंटरफेयर करते हैं और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर राइट टू इक्वलिटी के अंदर अनटचेबिलिटी को पूरी तरह से एबॉलिश कर दिया, बिकॉज इट वायलेट्स एंड डिस्क्रिमिनेट द फंडामेंटल राइट्स. So similarly, personal laws based on religion can also be amended through the state intervention. तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट वहाँ पर कि अगर किसी पर्सन के राइट्स वायलेट हो रहे हैं तो वहाँ पर जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कुछ लॉ बना सकती है उनके रिलीजन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए। उनके रिलीजन में अगर कुछ ऐसा है जो किसी के साथ इनजस्टिस करते हैं तो वहाँ वो पर्टिकुलर जो डिसीज़न ले सकते हैं if they go against the principles of liberty, equality and justice. For example, right to inheritance in some communities has been amended. Although the state funding to the religious institution is not permissible, yet the state can give financial aid on the preferential basis to some of the religious communities for the welfare and upliftment. It means हमने ये कहा था कि सभी रिलीजियस ग्रुप अपने जो मैटर्स हैं या अफेयर्स हैं वो खुद मैनेज करते हैं। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट या गवर्नमेंट किसी भी रिलीजन में इंटरफेयर नहीं करती और ना ही किसी रिलीजन को प्रमोट करते हैं। लेकिन अगर किसी रिलीजन के रिलीजियस ग्रुप के पास उनका अपने धर्म को प्रचार करने के लिए या प्रमोट करने के लिए उनके पास फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम है, तो वहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट उन्हें कुछ एड दे सकती है, जैसे डोनेशन, हम कहीं चंदा दे सकते हैं कि वो अपने रिलीजन को अपलिफ्ट कर सके, प्रमोट कर सकें फॉर द वेलफेयर and upliftment of their religions. But it doesn't mean that government is promoting that particular religion. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि गवर्नमेंट ये कह रही है कि सभी ने इस रिलीजन को अडॉप्ट करना है, वो उस पर्टिकुलर एक रिलीजन को प्रमोट नहीं करें। दे आर जस्ट गिविंग एड और हेल्प टू दैट रिलीजन दैट दे कैन uplift or propagate their own religion. So some special grants can be provided to them. So it is all about the secularism, and with this our chapter is completed. I hope you understand. Thank you.